I'll call the meeting to order. And we are proceeding with a presentation from Rich. Are you going to start us out for agenda item number 1?
So it's on the consent calendar, but it's a verbal report. So the state revolving fund, we are anticipating loan proceeds from them pursuant to the plan of finance for the Clean Water Program. We've been in a holding pattern with them. Essentially, the ball is in their court. The one thing that they're waiting on from the financing authority is this. It's the reimbursement resolution. Both the city and the district adopted a resolution in 2016 for the same purpose. It's from our perspective, it's not, the authority doesn't own any of the infrastructure. Its sole purpose in life is to finance the costs of the improvements. But for the purposes of the SRF loan from the state, this step is required. So that's really all we're asking the board to do, is to adopt the resolution, the reimbursement resolution.
Great. So do we need to ask, is this do we go through the whole process asking questions? Okay. Does anyone have questions that they'd like to raise? Okay. Is there any member of the public that would like to ask questions?
I see no speakers.
Wonderful. Would someone like to move for approval?
I move approval.
And I will second. All those in favor, Erin, do you take roll call vote?
I'll go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
City Manager Drew Corbett,
Aye.
City Manager Peter, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name well.
My audio cut out there for a second. I'm sorry. What was that?
I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your last name. I apologize.
No worries. Pernajad.
Okay. Is that an I?
Aye.
Okay. Finance Director Rich Lee.
I have no vote.
Okay. Are there any other voting members of this board I need to call upon?
None present.
Okay, then motion carries.
Great. And the next item is new business number 2, but we're going to skip that until we have a quorum. Do we need to make any record to move forward on the agenda?
I'll
Mo-
note the change in the minutes.
Okay. All right. Rich, do you have a presentation for us for number 3?
I do, a short presentation. So the item before the authority board this evening is the 2021 wastewater revenue notes. That should say Series A and Series B, and the 2021 wastewater revenue bonds refunding Series A. So the table before you is the sources and uses of funds for the Clean Water Program for both San Mateo and the Estero Municipal Improvement District. Of note for this evening, we're talking about the notes, the short-term notes that are relative to the wastewater treatment plant Whitfield loan and the basins 2 and 3 Whitfield loan for the city. For the Estero Municipal Improvement District, their portion of the wastewater treatment plant loan, with this strategy of issuing short-term notes to take advantage of the current interest rate environment, would save approximately $1 million in net present value. For the city, for the wastewater treatment plant loan, using this strategy would save about $4.1 million. And for the collection system Whitfield loan, would save an additional $1.5 million in net present value. In addition, there are the refunding bonds. So the 2021 wastewater revenue bonds refunding Series A. Our first optional redemption date is August 1st. We owe just under $20 million in remaining principal. Our current interest range is between 4.15 and 5.25%. And we can start refunding about 90 days prior to the first optional redemption date. And that was May 1st. So we're beyond that date now. Our annual debt service before the refunding was scheduled to be $1.7 million for the current fiscal year through fiscal year 2028, and then slowing down to about $1.4 million through 2041. We believe that based on current market conditions, this refunding will save the San Mateo Sewer Enterprise ratepayers about $6.3 million in net present value. On the left is the debt service payments anticipated for the current fiscal year out through 2056. And those are the bars showing the debt service payments each fiscal year. And the line going from left to right, that is the associated debt service coverage ratio. And it's obviously EMID has a very strong debt coverage ratio hovering around 2x or 200% ratio of net surplus relative to the debt service. For San Mateo, a similar graph, relatively similar debt service coverage, both enterprises having a very strong credit rating, a little bit stronger in EMID, stronger cash position, and stronger number of days cash on hand, but both relatively strong credit ratings, and we're anticipating that in the coming week for our credit rating for this issuance.
Rich,
Yes.
this is an interesting slide. I don't want to take up this meeting, but could you send this to me? I'd like to dive into that a little bit more.
Of course, happy to do so. And I believe Edmund has that from the Foster City staff report from Monday.
Well then I guess I'll see it Monday.
So the recommendation for the authority board this evening is to adopt a resolution approving documents and actions relating to the sale of by the San Mateo-Foster City Public Financing Authority 2021 wastewater revenue notes Series A and the maximum amount of $66,865,000 on behalf of the Estero Municipal Improvement District, and Series B notes in the maximum amount of $295,480,000 on behalf of the City of San Mateo to finance clean water program capital costs related to wastewater treatment plant and sewer collection improvement projects, and the sale of 2021 wastewater revenue bonds, refunding Series A in the maximum amount of $25 million on behalf of the city to refund the City of San Mateo sewer revenue bonds 2011 Series A. With that, I welcome any questions from the board.
Great presentation, Rich. I have no questions.
No questions.
No questions.
Is there any member of the public who would like to ask a question or make a comment?
I see no speakers.
Would someone like to move for approval?
I'll move approval of staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay,
Great.
I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan is absent. City Manager Drew Corbett,
Yes.
City Manager Peter Herdajad.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Wonderful. Has anyone heard from our other voting member with an update?
He said 10 minutes ago. So
Do we have one more item that we could do without him?
That's the last item of business.
Oh, it is.
Yes, and unfortunately, we do need to get this in place. One of the remaining items for insurance purposes is to send to the carrier the list of board members, including chair and vice chair.
Rich,
Yes.
what about the audit services agreement?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there's that too.
Okay.
That's a verbal report. We can go through that. Please, Councilmember Lee, go ahead and introduce it.
Thank you. So we will move on to item number 4. And Rich, welcome your presentation on independent audit service agreement.
Thank you. So this is a brief verbal report. This follows actions that have been already taken by the City of San Mateo City Council, as well as the Board of Directors for the San Mateo Consolidated Fire Department. The city issued an RFP to solicit proposals from qualified certified public accountant firms to provide independent audit services for both the city, the San Mateo Consolidated Fire Department, and the San Mateo-Foster City Public Financing Authority. Different from the contract that we had with our previous auditor, we wanted separate contracts for each entity. So that's the purpose of bringing it before the board this evening. The Poom Group is obviously a well-recognized and well-experienced firm. They have several clients all throughout Northern California and throughout the United States. Similarly dispositioned special districts and cities, municipalities, counties. So they're very experienced. They interviewed very well. Hence staff's recommendation to award contract to the Poon Group for the amounts specified in the staff report. Just a quick note that the amount that for year one, there's a savings of approximately $1,500 per year in comparison to the previous contract. So a little bit of savings there for the authority. Happy to answer any questions from the board.
You're on mute, Councilmember Lee.
Does anyone have a question regarding the agreement?
I apologize. I didn't get to hear that. I'm just came in. This is Councilman Patrick. Foster City.
Welcome. We're just wrapping up this item, and then we if no one has any questions, then we can go to public comment.
I see no hands raised.
Okay, and would someone like to move approval of the agreement?
I'll move approval of staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, Erin, do you mind taking roll call vote?
Yes. Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
I'll abstain because I wasn't present for the report.
okay, noted. City Manager Drew Corbett,
Yes.
City Manager Peter Pernijad.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries with one
Thank
abstention.
And our last item of business is number 2, and we're asking for nominations for the chair and vice chair for the 2021 term. And happy to see you, Councilmember Sullivan, here. We needed you for this one. So I'm new to this group, so remind me, Drew, if you will, how does this usually work?
Typically, the two elected officials serve, one as the chair and one as the vice chair. So that's typically how it's worked in the past.
Okay. Councilmember Sullivan, have you served on this board before?
No, I have not. This would be my first time.
Okay. Do you have any strong feelings about taking the position, either position?
No.
Okay. Then would you like to make a nomination?
Can I nominate you for chair then?
Sure. Thank you. I will accept. And do we need to ask for a public comment on this or questions?
We don't have any members of the public present. I see no hands raised.
Okay. Would someone like to move for approval as myself as chair and Councilmember Sullivan as vice chair?
So moved.
Second.
Erin, thank you for taking roll call vote.
My pleasure. Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
City Manager Drew Corbett,
Yes.
City Manager Peter Pernijad.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for your time. We have completed the agenda items. Does anyone have any reports or announcements?
Just one quick note that this board meets rather infrequently. It's really dependent upon specific approvals that we need relative to debt issuances. The next anticipated meeting will not be until October, when we'll bring the basic financial statements for the authority board's consideration.
Thank you. It'll be on my calendar.
Who sends that invitation out, just so we can make sure it's on everybody's calendar so we can look for it? I saw that it fell on mine, but
That should come from Erin Feller from our city
Erin
clerk's
Feller.
office. Yes.
okay, great.
Yes, in October, I will be out of office. I will be on maternity leave, so that will likely come from Patrice Olds.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Erin, congratulations.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you in person in so long. I can't even-
You never know.
That's exciting. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your time, and until the fall, we'll see you then.
All right,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.